Milton here, joined by Zap. I wanted to do some shorter videos talking about specific matchups for Blades of Khaine and focusing on some of the most important ploys or abilities, giving some suggestions on how I approach them. But before I start, I want to emphasize again that while I have a lot of experience with Blades of Khaine and I've been pretty successful with the team, I am not infallible, and my approach is by no means the only way. If you have any additional advice on specific matchups, please put it in the comments. I really want this playlist to be as complete a resource as possible for folks learning Blades of Khaine, so I want to get other people's opinions or approaches visible as well. Now, there are 38 kill teams in the game as of today, May 4th, 2025, so this is going to be a pretty big project. I'm not going in any particular order, and I'm prioritizing matchups that I think are common or interesting, or teams that I'm interested in. If you have particular matchups that I haven't done a video on, and that you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Discord and we can chat. If you've sat through even part of this playlist, surely you've realized that I really like to talk about Kill Team. So, the first team I wanted to talk about is Gellerpox Infected. Not because they're particularly common right now, there's really two reasons I wanted to talk about them. First, they received a couple of changes in the most recent balance data slate, so they are more viable than they have been at any point in this edition. Second, and most importantly, I just finished painting my team. So they're sitting right next to me. I'll put a couple photos up. They don't look amazing, but they are painted. Just need to do the bases. So while I've been thinking about them, some of the important rules in the matchup that you need to know. First off, there are 4 Nightmare Hulks. They have 20 wounds each, except the leader who has 21. They are big. They are beefy. They cannot use light cover, so very important to keep in mind. Second, they get a 4-up damage reduction just like Plague Marines do. So count on your shots doing 1 damage less. Don't get disappointed, hoping to hit that 50-50 for the exact breakpoint you need, unless that's the only path you have to try and win the game. Count on doing less damage. There's also Mutoid Vermin. The Mutoid Vermin are expendable. They do not count towards tac ops, towards the kill op, and cannot contest points or areas. And they also have group activation. So while the team has a lot of operatives they can potentially have on the table, they aren't going to have 14 activations like some of the pure horde teams can. So don't count on getting quite as many counteracts as you normally would with that many operatives on the table. Excuse me. So up next, important ploys. They have a strategic ploy, Rust Emanations, which gives you -1 to hit if you're in control range of the Hulks. Very important to keep in mind as you start contesting those points and end up in melee with them. Next up is Drawn to the Hum, another strategic ploy that gives them an extra inch of movement on repositions or charges as long as they end within 2 inches of a chosen objective marker. So they do have to do this in the strategic phase. It is going to be telegraphed somewhat, but once they telegraph that, it's very important to keep in mind what can potentially get onto those points. And in my opinion, the other most important ploy is Frightening Onslaught. This is a firefight ploy that can give one of their Hulks a free second fight action. However, they have to have completed a fight action first in order to be able to do this. That can let them fight, and if they don't kill one of our operatives, get a second fight action to finish them off, but it can also let them get double kills if we're close together with a couple of operatives, so it's very important to keep that in mind, that they do have that capability. As far as tac op selection, they have access to either Security or Seek and Destroy. In my experience, they'll most likely be taking something from Seek and Destroy, just because Security can be a little bit difficult for them to score against Blades of Khaine. Because we have APL3 operatives and we're reasonably fast, we can get where they don't want us to go. So, be thinking about those tac ops when you're making your selections. And now, into the really important part, how to approach the matchup. I've got kind of 5 main points here. First, they're an APL2 team, and they are very vulnerable to stun grenades or to ceaseless Banshee Screams because they don't have any comms. So if you're an inch and a half away from a Hulk outside of engagement range and you stun it, it goes down to APL1, and then it cannot charge and fight you. Just can't. Second point here, Howling Banshees are quite good into them, as even the Hulks generally only hit on 4s. Now, they do have some dice fixing through their equipment and their ploys, but it's not incredible. So putting them down to hitting on 5s is quite strong. They also naturally only move 5 inches. Now, like I said earlier, withdrawn to the hum, they can get 1 extra inch of movement there, but as long as you're careful and you pre-measure your opponent's threat ranges, you take into account when they can use drawn to the hum, where it can get them, you can definitely outmaneuver Gellerpox. Now, as far as the Hulks. Last edition, a common piece of advice for dealing with Gellerpox when they were quite strong was that you can either focus on killing the Hulks or focus on killing the vermin and the little guys, and that either one was really a viable strategy. That's changed a bit, though, I think, because last edition there were 6 objective markers, and so with 4 Nightmare Hulks and then a bunch of models that don't matter, you could put them in a situation where you could kill the Hulks and then they couldn't really hit back into you, or you could kill all the small stuff and then they just couldn't really contest everywhere they needed to be on the board. However, in a 3 objective game this edition, it's a bit different. You will need to kill some or most of the Hulks over the course of a game if you're trying to contest the crit op, which you should be trying to contest at least at some point. So, chip damage. You know, even if you're putting them down to hitting on 5s, a Howling Banshee isn't going to be able to charge a full health Hulk and kill it. They generally only need 2 hits to kill us. So, I like a mixed team here. I like a mixed team in most matchups, to be honest. But you're going to want some Dire Avengers to potentially get those torrent shots, or the lethal 5-up ceaseless shots to really chunk down those Hulks, so that then your Banshees can finish them off. They have very little shooting, so you might not need to take any Scorpions. That's up to you. I would seriously consider taking a team with like 2 or 3 Dire Avengers and the rest Howling Banshees. I think either a Dire Avenger Exarch with the Twin Shuriken Catapult, or the Banshee Exarch with Mirror Swords, or a Power Sword and a Pistol is quite good here. And yeah, really the name of the game is just chipping the Hulks down, and then finishing off whatever you can safely with Banshees and melee. That's the game plan in a lot of matchups for Blades of Khaine. But if you can do that here, and you can get some mileage out of stun grenades, or the Shriek that kills, I think we have quite a good matchup into Gellerpox. Alright, so thank you very much for your time. I'm going to work on putting out more of these videos pretty quickly here. Again, if you have any questions, reach out in the comments or find me on Discord. I'm on the Command Point Discord. Looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.